Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've definitely got an interesting combination that I wanted to try out because these shells have struggled so far in our testing, but this choke combo that we're going to try them through today might be the ticket to get the best out of them that we can, or it could absolutely just ruin the pattern at the same time. There's a possibility that it could go either way, so I don't quite know what we're going to see. But as for the shells I brought in here today, we've got some of the Remington Nitro Turkey shells, but these ones are the 20 gauge, 3-inch, 1¼ ounce payload of lead 5s, moving about 1185 feet per second. Now, 20 gauge lead shells across the board have really struggled in our testing. I just don't think they have the same quality support that the 12 gauge lead shells do. And Remington turkey shells in general are most of the time not the greatest performers, and these have been no different. They've given us several pretty poor patterns so far, but I don't know. Maybe today's choke combination might be the ticket for them. So we'll see what happens. And as for the setup, we're going to run those through today. I brought out my Stevens 301 20 gauge. It has a 26-inch barrel on it. And for a choke, we've got the Carlson's heavyweight TSS turkey choke in the gun. It's a 555 constriction, so definitely pretty tight for a 20 gauge choke. And who knows, maybe this tight of a constriction might be the ticket to help these lead 20 gauge shells out. I really don't know. It could just absolutely ruin the pattern and blow it all over the place as well, even worse than what it already typically is for us, but who knows. I figured we'll throw this combination together and see what happens. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey paper at 40 yards and the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what the Remington Nitro Turkey lead 20 gauge shells can do through this Carlson's 555 choke. Is it going to work? Is it going to be another disappointing result? I don't know, but let's take our shot and see what kind of pattern it gives us. Alright, so that shell gave us 1275 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1185, so we're 90 feet per second above that boss claim. Now, it's been a while since we've tested these shells, so I can't really remember if we typically see above that claim or not, but we're starting to push them a little bit on the faster side for a lead 5. And yeah, that's more than enough velocity for a lead turkey shell out at 40 yards. But what kind of a pattern did they give us down there at 40? And did this combo actually work out with that tight of a choke or not? Let's go check it out and see what we got. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is probably about what I expected to see. We might have favored just a little bit to the right, but I don't think it really would have made that much of a difference. Now, yes, we do have a dead turkey here. There is one right through the brain there that would have gotten the job done, but you can see that 40 yards is probably about the limit for these shells, or at least in this combination. Now, looking at the pattern as a whole here, it's definitely not a good pattern by any means, but I do think that 555 tried to tighten the pattern down a little bit. I think it is a little bit more condensed than what we had been seeing from these Remington Nitro turkeys, but it definitely did not help these enough to make them a very pretty looking turkey pattern. Now, are they good enough to get you a turkey at 40 yards with it? Yes, they are, but that is pretty much the limit. Inside of that, you're going to be perfectly fine, but there still really isn't much of any kind of a core, and even right in that main central area of the pattern, it's still got several voids and a lot of splotchiness to it. Outside of that, we have a little bit of a blotchy mess of pellets up here off the top still, several flyers down there at the bottom, all the way down near the bottom of the page. So it's definitely not a very uniform pattern overall. It's not a condensed pattern. It doesn't really have much of a core to it. And like I've already mentioned, lead turkey loads in 20 gauge have really struggled across the board. Even the Winchester Longbeard XR shells are super inconsistent and all over the place. So when it comes to lead in a 20 gauge, if you're okay with having a pattern like this, or you're a hunter that hunts at 20, 25 yards, maybe taking a 30-yard shot, then a lead 20 gauge load would absolutely be just fine for you. And even the guy that goes out on the average turkey hunts that might take a 40-yard shot once every couple of years, a lead 20 gauge load would still suffice, but they're just not super impressive. I was hoping this tighter constriction pattern would help out a little bit. And I do think it condensed the overall size of the pattern, but it definitely did not help us out any in giving us a tighter or hotter core area or anything like that. So I think the pattern pretty much speaks for itself. It's not very pretty. It would technically work if you needed it to, but 40 yards is probably starting to push the limits here. So I don't know. Is this about as good as what we're going to get out of these lead 20 gauge shells in general? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I think this is about what I expected to see today. Would be good enough for 40-yard turkeys, but definitely not anything that I'm calling a great turkey pattern. And here's the wad from that shell. Very typical 20 gauge Remington stuff here. Very basic, nothing fancy about it, but there's nothing stuck down in there. And having a lead 5 go through a 555 and a 20 gauge, this is about what I would expect to see. We definitely didn't constrict it to where it would cause any damage or anything like that, but that's probably about the limit here. We're starting to get a couple tiny little pinholes and stuff, but nothing too surprising. It's pretty much what I would expect to see out of the wad here. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that result right there? It's probably pretty much what I would expect to see and probably what a lot of you guys expected as well. I do think that 555 helped tighten the overall size of the pattern down just a little bit, but we're still kind of blotchy and uneven, a lot of voids and stuff in there, and it's just not a very pretty looking pattern. Is it good enough to get you a turkey at 40 yards with it? Yes, it's gonna do the job, but it's definitely nowhere even close to what even a cheap 12 gauge lead shell would be able to give you most of the time. So I don't know. Did we over constrict these today? Maybe, but I don't think it really made a difference in the grand scheme of things because that is kind of the patterns we've been getting out of pretty much all the lead 20 gauge turkey shells we've tested. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of the 20 gauge nitro turkeys? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? What other shells or choke combos do you want to see us test when it comes to lead 20 gauge loads like that? And what other chokes might you want to see these run through? And is there a lead 20 gauge combination that you have seen some really nice performances from? And if so, what is that combination? Because I'm definitely curious to see if somebody has gotten a better result than this. So leave all your thoughts about it down below. At the end of the day, for somebody that is going to be hunting from 20 to 30 yards that might maybe one day take a 40-yard shot or something, that's going to be just fine. It's going to get you the turkey every time with it, but you're definitely not going to have the best pattern out there in the turkey woods either. So if that's what you've got, or you're on a budget and have to work with that, then I would say keep your shots 30 and in, and it's going to be more than capable enough to get the job done for you. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.